Hello and welcome to the Cardboard Bunker. My name is Pieburn and today we are back in Space Engineers. We're back in the world of the Janus and I'm standing next to my welder turtle ship. Welder slash grinder turtle ship. We're also standing in a great big hole. Now this hole is the result of a PAM experiment. This is from PAM digging out all the gold in the asteroid. Just wanted to give you a sense of scale. So you can't even see my character anymore. The ship's barely visible. And that was just a small PAM hole. You can make it as big as you like. And it's quite phenomenal how she just plugs away slowly but surely, getting everything done. It's quite fascinating. Anyway, we'll jump back in my character, we'll fly back to the base. And we'll see how much progress we've done. Ooh, I'm pretty sure that's my two asteroids, and I'm pretty sure that you can already see the Janus hanging out the side there. We're about 3.5 kilometers away now, maybe 4, and you can already start seeing it, so it is a monster of a ship. I've started bulking out the armor down the sides, covering the back a little bit more, making sure that we pull the shape all the way to the back for the engine rooms. It's quite a nice little ship going at the moment. I've got Pam digging iron from the asteroid next to the base, just because we need so much, and it's much easier for her just to go out and get some of that. I've grabbed quite a number of, I suppose millions of kilograms of ice already. I've had some platinum going for a while. I've just been doing a lot of extra work. As you can see, Pam is just flying gently, gracefully over the ship, and I didn't break in time. And we'll just do a quick flyby, just because I didn't plan that correctly. You can see the cookie monster underneath, and you can see a lot of the armor has gone on. That's just the internal structure going through there. I just really wanted to make sure that we started doing it. Getting a lot more on the ship than we had before, because there's a lot of just block placing. It's absolutely extraordinary. I've spent most of my Sunday. I did like some mining as well, yes, but mainly just placing blocks, and I've had to turn off the bar system for the moment, just to make sure that we don't use up all the materials we've finally mined. But it's starting to come together, it's starting to look more like a ship. All of this armor that hasn't been welded has been built by myself, or placed by myself. There's no special projections or anything else like that. It's literally me walking along or flying along and placing. And we've extended all the way to the front. The next big project we have on this will be coming in here, and this is where we'll put the vertical launch tubes. And they'll be coming up to this spot here. I've measured it out. I'm also thinking we probably need to put a little bit more in the way of storage in the front here. So you can see we've started extending the armor all the way forward. I've started bringing across some of the cross sections. I still like that. The cross sections there, the intersections in the armor, just to make sure that we measure everything out correctly. And you can see using the scale, I've come across here, and we're going to be building this out, all of this out here. So this has got to contain not only the missile tubes, but also the apparatus to build them. So there'll be like a automatic welder, projections, all that sort of stuff going on in here. Projections is always interesting because we've built this from way back in here. The further away we get from this, the weirder the projections are going to be. So if we paste this into a whole new world, it'll be a bit different, because eventually we will disconnect from the base itself here through these merge blocks. But I'm kind of interested to see how the projections will go once we start moving around, because they can get warped and displaced. Ravenshield demonstrated that perfectly when he was doing his Dune builds on, I think it was on the Dune planet in his world, somewhere around the 800 episode mark. You should check that out if you do enjoy Space Engineers and like to see how long a world can go for, because he's been doing quite well with that one. Over 800 episodes, I'm pretty sure, in that world, if not a couple of hundred episodes. He's got quite a lot going on there. Anyway, today we've got to build out some more of the hydrogen here. These are all full, and as I said before, I've got several million kilograms of ice to go in here, and we're pretty much filling up this whole area here, right down to the bottom armor, or the inside armor. The next step after that, hopefully we'll do that today as well, will be to put in the main power for this. I want to get the power in now so that we can continuously produce uranium for it. There's uranium on the main island here. Oh, I've also started building up the armor in here. I left the power system on while I was doing it, so you can see where the windows will be. These panels here, we'll remove some of these and we will put windows through there. I just wanted to make sure I had the shape right before I did all of that. There's quite a bit of armor that's gone on already. There's still a lot of spaces and gaps and rows that haven't been filled in, but it's starting to get there. Just looking through quickly to see how much I've got. Yeah, I've got plenty going on. I've set easy to 250,000 steel plates so that I can turn off bars, bulk up, and then go from there. So I'll finish off the second row down here too. Now in between, you can see the bar system there, but in between we'll be putting oxygen tanks as well as O2, H2 generators. I won't be putting any engines in because I really don't like the efficiency of that. And if we're going to use a resource, we may as well use a decent resource like uranium to get the power through. The O2 generators and hydrogen engines are a good source of emergency power, but you know, we're not going to need emergency power in this unless, you know, a crash land on Europa. The hydrogen engines aren't going to do anything for me. Now I'm thinking if we were to make this so that it could at least skip through the upper atmosphere, there may be some issues with the amount of hydrogen. That's why I'm kind of going a little bit overboard with the storage. As you can see, we've got quite a lot in there already, but this is just the rear section, and I really do believe I need to go down at least one more row, if not two. We'll start heading down with the second row and we'll pipe it all in. Okay, that's enough of that for now. Might come down one more just to see exactly where that ends. Again, I think we're going to have to come in a little, just to give us space there. That's how we'll be placing the hydrogen. We'll come all the way down to this section here. The decision has been made, which is good. And I'll take you through this section here where we've got two O2 H2 generators and an oxygen tank. So we'll put a conveyor junction in where these are here. As you can see, we've done that already in some places. And we'll do that as a mirror all the way down. So we should be able to go in here to an O2. Put that in place of the tank. And if you look at the O2 generator, it's got where are we? So it's got side ports as well as the front and back. So we want those side ports that way, and then we want to flip it around for this one. Otherwise we'd have to bring it up here, lose some space. I know it's a massive ship, but we've got to try and be a little bit efficient. We'll do that on the other side too, if it's not already done. And then we'll put our oxygen tanks all the way down in between with the junctions joining everything up. And I think if we put two on each row of the O2 H2 generators and continue that down here as well, so we'll basically have almost as many oxygen tanks as we do hydrogen tanks. And when we start building into the living quarters for people, we will also make sure that they have oxygen tanks as a backup nearby, just in case the piping does get damaged in between and they can't get oxygen. but that's all for a later pie. This pie isn't going to worry about that too much for now. We're still a long way from building the interior decorations. The main reason I'm doing a lot of this piping now is because this piping will also be part of the power for the ship. So this here is all going to be armour. There won't be any traversing through here. This is literally the space that I always like to keep between the outer armour and the inner armour. And there is currently only one pipe going through. We do have it piped down there. That pipe comes out down the bottom and then joins all of this piping down here, and then this will come through to the engine room. But I want to have a wall in between, so I'll just place some of those here so we can get an idea. I'll leave a space for each one of the junctions, because essentially each one of those will also be at least one large reactor. I'll probably end up putting a couple more. I haven't done any calculations or figuring out or even guesstimating as to exactly how much power I need, so I need to make sure that I have an expandable power room. We do have a literal ton of batteries in this ship as it is, so it's essential that we make sure that we have the ability to be able to charge them. Then we've got such fun things as jump drives. Jump drives work on mass, and if we have a giant ship, that means a lot of mass, which means we will need a lot of jump drives. So we need to make sure we leave space for those as well. But we also need to be able to recharge them. I think eventually the ship is so large that we won't be able to fly in and out like this anymore. So eventually I'll need to have little recharge stations everywhere. I think I'm going to have to put the survival kits but unpipe them, because the last thing I want is for a survival kit to get full of stone and just have stone sitting there, or have ingots being produced. But you know, wouldn't hurt to throw in a little bit every now and then. I might look at a mod where we can put something like a recharge station where we can just go over and charge our power. Or just seats even. Just a couple of little seats here and there might even work. Hopefully this will all be airtight and we won't have to worry too much about oxygen all the time. So this back section here, this that I'm ending on, this will be the start of the engine bay. I want to make sure I've got at least the outer armour for that done. And I'm thinking about adding some ribbing to the armour. So as you can see over here, we've had that section welded up and we started placing the dividers for each of the other armour. I'm actually very tempted at this stage, before I go too much further, to bump these ones out one more. So it would come up, say like this, one more step, and this offer from a distance a bit more dynamic movement in the roof, as interior designers like to call it, and architects. So by having it up by one and then having the slopes on it, you can see that it will add a little bit more detail from a distance. So currently it'll just be flat. So by doing this every now and then, we add a bit of change in level, make it look a little bit better. So that's something I'm contemplating on. If you think that would be a good idea, please let me know in the comments. And actually, if there's anything else you'd like to see on the ship, or if you're interested in maybe adding some ideas. So we've got the good idea of a snake door for the cookie monster underneath. I think that's a pretty good idea, snake piston door. I think that's going to take a little bit of engineering, which is good that I'm in Space Engineers, to be able to figure all that out exactly. But for now, let's get back in and do the power. We need the reactor. I'm just going to put this one in so I've got a choice. So there's different ways you can do the reactors. These ones here, they don't produce as much power per, but you can squeeze them into different shapes to fit them in. So you can add one there, one underneath, and make them so that they will fit around a single conveyor, and they will produce I think it's 1 megawatt each. So each one of those will produce a megawatt, and if you can fit enough around, last time I did it I fitted Just going back in my memory, I think I fitted 6 around, so that's 6 megawatts in a single space. So if you spread it out over all 9 cubes, I should say, in that entire area, you're getting, I think it was 8 megawatts per hour or 9 megawatts per hour. Large reactor does a lot more, but it's a large reactor, so obviously it's going to take up a lot more space. So we'll just place these conveyor junctions in here to give us a good starting point. And we've still got space above us before they get before they're exposed to space, if the armor does get damaged at all. So I'm pretty happy with that distance. Make sure there's a junction there. Now, a lot of the time people put their reactors and then they have special rooms that you can go into. This one here, the only time we'll ever access this room will be as maintenance. So I very much doubt we need a walkway in, but we can also retrofit that sort of thing in later. The other thing I want to bring into this room is specific refineries. These refineries are to make sure that any uranium that gets piped in or dropped into the ship will automatically get piped down to these refineries, and I'll have a sorter block. So we're going to put a junction here, and I'll mirror this down on the other side as well. I'll probably bring one under each one of these reactors. And then we want to solder junction sorter there. So the whole idea is the ore will come through. We'll make this so that only uranium ore will come through, and then at the end of that we'll put, oh, I've already got it in my bar, our refinery. So this refinery will have I'll have a combination of yield and speed modules. So from memory they should cancel each other out. They will basically the speed modules will cancel out the length of time it takes for a yield module to pull out. So we should get a little bit more ingots from the uranium, but they should come out at about the same time, so we're not waiting twice as long or 4 times as long as we normally would. So I'll have a couple of those down here. I think I'll only have 1 per row. 2 might be too much. We'll space it out anyway. I've left myself plenty of room specifically for that reason. And then we'll go back and we'll put some more reactors in. I won't come back when it's all done because I really do think that this will take a long time, like a ridiculously long time to get done. So that's done. And we'll come down here, go back to a junction. I'm pretty sure that's where it all comes through. And then we'll start piping that all in. So I've left a lot of gaps in here on purpose. I'm pretty sure that this will be the wall that we use. A little sneaky hole here. So I'm pretty sure that this will be the wall here that I'm attaching the conveyor to. That will be the edge wall there, and that will come down and hide all of these thrusters. So we'll have plenty of space on the side here. I want to leave another bit of extra armor here to protect the hydrogen tanks, because they are quite vulnerable and they will blow up, and if we lose that hydrogen we won't be able to get away as quickly. Plus a lot of this hydrogen will be piping into the reactors here, and I will be doing a redundant piping via this lower level here. That will go back into where the cookie monster is, and again down the sides and to the rest of the ship. So yeah, there's quite a bit to go. It's getting there though. It's starting to look more and more like a ship every day. So what I'll do is I'll finish all this piping up, and I'll probably do a lot of that off screen, just because I'm running out of time. I should actually be going to work right now anyway. So thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. Follow me on the socials. I'm not going to say them all again because there's quite a bit. Please like, subscribe, share the video, and I will see you in the next episode. But most importantly, people, have fun. Bye.